Hey, my name is Mike Miller. I want to tell you a little story about this lady named Mary. Now, her real name wasn't actually Mary. I really don't know what her name was, but she called herself Mary because she converted to Christianity. Mary was an Indian lady, and when I say Indian, I mean actually from India, not a Native American. And she worked with me. She cleaned my chapel when I was deployed with the Army to Kuwait. She was basically a slave. And instead of getting into the politics to explain this to you, I'll just tell you that Mary was basically a slave. But she worked hard, and she loved Jesus. Now, what I wanted to tell you that I think is interesting about Mary is the fact that she was selfless, and she was loving. And I want to tell you what she did for me. See, I was struggling with some health issues. I had a kidney stone and had some things going on inside of me, and I had to go to the hospital and things. And as I'm dealing with all these things, Mary decided that she would get something for me. And the thing that she got for me is this little bracelet. And keep in mind, she was a Catholic Christian, okay? And she goes and she gets this little bracelet. She shows me this. She says, "You see infant Jesus? You pray with the infant Jesus, and he help you." And that seems like a silly story, probably. But the thing that you don't know about Mary is that she had one day off a month. One day. And she took that one day that she got and she went to church. And while she was off on her only time, she thought of me. Now, I'm a soldier. I'm making tons of money. I'm living a good life. Things are fine for me overseas. I'm not a slave. I have life pretty good. But because of my pain, she goes on her one day and she thinks of me. And she brings back and she tells me this and she prays for me. That really changed my thought process. When I see this lady that has absolutely nothing and she thinks of me on her one day off. And it was more than that. We ran a little shop that we would take in things that people would ship us to give to other soldiers. For example, all the goodies, all the Slim Jims and candies and stuff that from these boxes that people would ship overseas, we would hand them to soldiers. But because of how poor people like Mary that worked for us were, we would give them some items as well, especially items that our soldiers didn't need, like gym shoes and socks. People would send that our soldiers already had. But Mary was a type that we would give her socks, and she would go home and she would give them to her friends, and she wouldn't take them herself. We'd give her shoes, and she would do the same thing. She'd have holes in her shoes and not wearing socks because she was a type of person that would give things to other people. The moral of the story is I want this to be an encouragement. There's so much negativity that goes around in America. There's so much negativity in our culture. There's so much selfishness instead of selflessness. And when you go about your day-to-day, I want you to think about Mary. I want you to think about how you can help other people and not think so much about yourself. I want you to think about maybe helping someone else even when you don't have a pair of socks. I want you to think about praying for somebody when maybe you need prayer yourself. Maybe Mary's story can motivate you to change.